Test, test. Test, test. Okay, so this is amazingly laggy, but I think it's the best I can do. I really need to learn how to do this slightly better, or maybe just use Twitch, which I'm guessing probably just works better anyway. So this is the 1,000 subscriber Q&A. I will answer the questions. I have them right here on an iPad, and I will then use this screen, which you can see, to randomly pick it. Now, as you can probably see the URL, so you can test this out for yourself. It works well. I've tested it to make sure that it was as random as can be, as random is able to be in this world, and it is. So yeah, I think it should work fine. I will be picking 3 names, and the first name will be the first winner, who gets to pick from 3 items. The second person, the second winner, who will get to pick from 2 items, and the third is the third winner, who will get whatever's left. Basically, whoever wins, just email on the channel's email address, which you can get from the About page, and just leave your details. And if you just do a well, if the first winner just chooses what they want, and then the other 2, well, in fact, you know what? Just the second person just do what you would most like in order of most to least, and then whichever one is second on your list, that's what you'll get effectively. Unless, well, you know what I mean. Anyway, just do that. Right. Hold on. I'm also going to be looking at the chat and the phone, which should at least be up to date. I can't do 2 things at once, apparently. So that's good. Right, okay. So, first question from Stephen Sizemore. What game did you play through the most times growing up, and you can still pop in and play through and it never seems to get old? That, I mean, there's probably more than one game, but the game that first comes to mind is a game called Rex on the Sinclair Spectrum. I have done a video on it. I genuinely adore it. It's a flip screen shooter. It's got really nice animation, especially for the time. Not many colours. It was on Spectrum after all, but the animation's really good. It's also a really hard game, like a genuinely hard game. And it's as hard now as I remember it being. So I've probably not improved on it in any way, but I don't think I've got that much worse either. Right, second question. James Yull. If you're stuck on a desert island with 3 consoles and 1 game for each, which consoles and what games and why? Well, I mean, first of all, obviously, I would have one of my PC engines with me because I adore my PC engines, and a game called Geisha Boy. I'll get into that game a bit later on because it matched up with another question. Yeah, I mean, the PC engine, because it's my favourite console. It's just got such an incredible array of games, and it's just brilliant and very reliable as well. Then I'd probably have a WonderSwan, a Bandai WonderSwan, which is, again, it's a brilliant handheld and very underrated. And I would probably take the puzzler Gunpei, because Gunpei is just a genuinely good puzzle game. You can play it for a really long time, you get sucked in for a while. Like every puzzle game eventually gets boring, but you get back into it again, and again it's good. So that'd be a really good time waster. Plus, of course, it runs on 1AA battery, and it runs for quite a while, so, you know, reliable. The final one, I would have to take my Vectrex. My Vectrex is possibly one of my favourite single consoles, just because of what it is. It's just the screen. I've done a couple of videos on the Vectrex, and the problem is you can never quite do the screen enough justice. Not on a LCD, anyway. And I would probably take Scramble, because I mean Scramble's a fantastic game, and the version on the Vectrex is just gorgeous. It really is, especially the explosion animation. It just feels like it comes out the screen because of the way the lines are drawn. Okay, so the next one is Gowndarf. I know you love the PC Engine. What is your favourite game ever on this system? Yep. So going back to what I said earlier, and this is it is an answer that probably surprised a few people, because it is a really it's a console best known for its arcade ports, especially shoot 'em ups. But for me, it's a game called Geisha Boy, which I mentioned earlier. And Geisha Boy is a weird one. I mean, you might know Pokemon Snap, where you have to take the photos of the Pokemon. So Geisha Boy is kind of like that, but it's just got incredibly weird Japanese humour and some fairly dodgy things as well. But it's a really fun game. It's mostly about just getting as many points as you can to get through the levels. And there's always so much going on in the background. You have to try and capture lots of things like alien abductions and things like that. It's a really fun game, and I adore it more than any other. Right, so Mr. James O'Grady, obviously check his channel out as well, and anyone on here, please check their channels out, because they spent their time to answer my stupid questions. So, you know, have you got a system that Quang doesn't have, and if not, which of his systems do you like to own? If you don't know Quang, you should get to know him on Twitter. It goes by the name of Sobitech, and he has a phenomenal collection of machines. And he has a lot of them boxed as well, so they're just gorgeous. I've done a few shows with him for the Centre for Computing History, and it's yeah, his collection is one to be envious of, certainly. In terms of machines I've got that he doesn't, I don't believe he's got a Bandai RX-78 personal computer, which is it's a wonderful little Z80 computer. So way back from the time of the Spectrum, it's an interesting little machine, and not well known because it just, yeah, it's not, it didn't really, it had no reason to leave Japan, let's put it that way. But it's a fascinating little machine, and it's a very rare machine, and it's the games are even rarer, and they just go for ridiculous prices. I have a couple of games and the basic cartridge. The basic cartridge is, up until I got the Atari Stacey, was my single most I spent on one item, on a single item, which was about £200 plus. But it's a very incredibly rare cartridge to get. So yeah, no. So that I don't believe has got one. Mine's boxed as well, which is one of my few boxed things. So I tend to just buy stuff in whatever state they're in, with the idea that I can probably fix them if they're broken. In terms of what I'd want of his, lots of stuff, but I mean, probably the first thing that will pop to mind is his Dreamcast television. That's a gorgeous machine. Right, Massive Das. What would be the best place to start with TurboGrafx PC Engine? Right, yeah, it's well, you know, I love the PC Engine, but I think it's a massively underrated machine, and obviously the easiest route coming up will be the PC Engine Mini, but we don't know how good that's going to be. And if you can own the original machine, then you should do. No reason why you can't own both, of course. Now, probably the best route to go to, and the cheapest at the moment, is to get a Core Graphics or Core Graphics 2. This is the Japanese variant. It's the really small ones. And you want the grey models, not the white model, for the simple reason the first white model, whilst it's nice to own that, it's only got RF. You can mod it, but you may as well get the grey ones, which have got a proper composite out. And they are RGB moddable as well, so it's worth getting. Now, I say the Japanese one, because obviously getting the Japanese one, the problem with that is, as a base, it ties you to the Japanese games, so you can't get some of the American ones, but there are more games in Japan anyway. You can get a converter, and you can get an EverDrive for it as well. But I say that one because it seems to go for a lot cheaper than the actual TurboGrafx, so the American or European one. And honestly, I think it's a nicer machine. It just looks nicer. Now, that ties you to using Hue cards, and there are a lot of Hue card games. If you've got a bit more money, then I'd probably say to get hold of one of the CD units, one of the combined CD units as well. So the PC Engine Duo or one of those, because then that gives you the Hue cards and the CDs as well, and then you'll have most of the market. I wouldn't bother with Super Graphics. Genuinely, there are no games on the Super Graphics I'd say it's worth spending the money for, because Ghouls and Ghosts on it is a fantastic conversion, probably the best conversion, but the game itself is massively expensive, hard to get hold of, and a Super Graphics is overpriced. So, yeah, I just wouldn't bother. Right, Melvin Do. We all see those videos about horrible box art in video games. What's the absolute best of box art on a video game in your opinion? I don't know about one. I've got one nearby. Hold on. This room's a bit of a nightmare. Oh, actually, right beside me, I've got a Bandai Arcadia, which is good. So, in terms of box art, full stop, the Arcadia ones, I adore them because I don't know how well this is going to show up because of how the lag is. But this is probably going to this is probably going to turn up way after I finish talking. But yeah, the Arcadia games, all of their box art, including like on the box itself and on the cartridge, it's kind of got this hand painted look to it, and I think it's just a really, really nice style. Yeah, it's just a gorgeous style. So all the games on the Arcadia, they're all nice. They just all look. They're things you want to own. This one blatantly is ripped off from Battlestar Galactica. That is definitely a Viper, and this isn't a licensed game, obviously. This is a rip off of Missile Command. So yeah, the Bandai Arcadia games, all of them are pretty good. I think they're some of the best. Right, Retro Baz Plays. Congrats on 1,000 subs. Thank you very much. What's the best retro bargain you've had? Right, well, my first Neo Geo AES I bought from eBay for 40 quid. And those are machines that have never gone cheap, but it was marked as not working. And again, I generally pick things up because there's a chance I can fix them. I'm an amateur electronics guy, but I know enough to fix stuff. So, well, most stuff. So I got that for 40 quid. I opened it up and it turned out that somebody had tried to put a UniBIOS in and they just made a really bad job of it, just an atrocious job. I reversed what they did and it worked perfectly. So Neo Geo AES and a copy of one of the Fatal Furies for 40 quid. So that's definitely, I've never come close to beating that bargain. A lot of stuff I got because I got it quite early on is certainly cheaper than now. Like my PC Engine LT, I got that and a GT together for, I think, 300 quid. Nowadays, you wouldn't get an LT on its own for 300 quid. So that was a bargain, but by far the best bargain was the Neo Geo. Right, Goldfish on Games. Again, another channel to check out. Of all your hardware, which item would you sell last? Probably my Vectrex. I know I love my PC engines. Probably the last one I'd sell if I needed to sell stuff would be my Vectrex because they're really hard to get hold of now. Genuinely gorgeous machines, and even if you can get hold of them at a decent price, which is getting harder and harder and harder, a built-in screen being transported, it just kind of asks for trouble. So that's probably the last one I get rid of. I love it as well. Right, Chris James. I've been watching since about 400 subs, I think. Thanks very much. My question is a bit of a basic one. Some may say boring. Some may say the answer to life itself. Mega Drive or SNES? Well, yeah, I mean, a simple but still a very difficult question. As a kid, I had a Mega Drive, so that was kind of my progression, really, from 8-bit computers. We had a Master System in the house as well, so it was a very Sega house, but the Mega Drive was actually mine. So, so the obvious answer is a Mega Drive. But then I got the Super Nintendo afterwards. When I got my first paying job, I bought a Super Nintendo second hand because it was going past the its lifespan at that point. And I fell in love with quite a few games there, like the obvious ones like Super Mario World. So I love them both, but I think probably the Mega Drive just pushes it, just because I've got more memories of that, so that probably just pushes it over the edge. Right, Shannon, I've been watching your channel for a while now. You're one of my very early subscribers. Again, thank you very much. And you virtually covered every weird system under the sun. My question to you is, which system surprised you with how good it actually is? Yeah. Again, there are a few, but probably the FM Towns Marty. I went from not knowing it existed at all to owning one in the space of a month. And because it was a machine that was completely, because when I got it, there were no videos really on it, no information about it. So when that happened, you kind of think, well, this can't have been very good then, because it just disappeared off the face of the sun. And in the end, of course, it turned out it has some very, very good, admittedly, games designed for PC really, for the FM full fat FM Towns unit. But they were incredibly good games, really good. Like the point-and-click adventures, like Indiana Jones and stuff on there, they look better than the PC of its time, which is a pretty amazing feat for a console, really, because that's when PCs and GPUs were starting to really kind of gain a ground. So yeah, pardon me. So probably that. I will say as well, obviously the competition prize, the Virtual Boy, is quite surprising. There are a couple of actually quite good games in that. Galactic Pinball being one of them. It's a very good pinball game. The 3D FX quite good. Like Demonics, an old friend. If you could merge two consoles and two games together to play on the merged console, which would they be and why? Right, well, I would probably, in terms of retro, I would go for Sega's last, the Dreamcast, and the last console where Nintendo genuinely tried to compete on hardware, which was the GameCube. And the resulting Dreamcube, or I guess Gamecast, it means basically a combined Sega and Nintendo taking on the might of Sony and then Microsoft. As for the game mix, I reckon Sonic Adventure and Pikmin would be a really interesting make, because Sonic Adventure's already got its little Chow Garden thing. So imagine that with Pikmin, but the Pikmin could also go out with Sonic, and kind of he could use them for puzzles and stuff. I think that'd be quite a nice game. I do. Nowadays, I would say, and I said this a few years ago when I was writing for This Is My Joystick, that Sega and Sony should combine forces. Sony doing the hardware, Sega doing the services. I think that's probably a good way of making even more money, because the whole war thing isn't working. They tend to one of them gets the ground on the other, and then the other gets it. And I think it probably splits the market more than actually growing it. Thankfully for Nintendo, they kind of help that balance, but I still don't think that war is really growing the market any. And finally, Leaded Solder asks, what was your ugliest repair so far? I've got lots that I've made ugly through incompetence, but also a lot that were just nightmares to fix, usually battery damage. Yeah, battery damage is generally some of the worst, especially if it's been going on for a long time. It just seems to travel through the ground lines and just hurts. I've just done Epoch Game Pocket Computer, and that had quite a lot of corrosion that had gone from the batteries. I think somebody had tried to fix it as well, because there was some broken wires in there, but I've had to replace one of the ground wires. Just the wire, fortunately, not a track, so it could have been worse. Right, in terms of things that I've received broken, the second Neo Geo I got, because as I say, the first one I said about earlier, that was an easy fix. I got it cheap. I thought, Oh, well, that's worked well. So the second one, it was more expensive, 80 quid, because the price of the new Joe was going through the stratosphere at this point. But I thought, well, if it's like the other one, then I'm going to, basically make money on this if I fix it. I still haven't fixed it, and the reason being, it looks like somebody tried to get the BIOS chip out to do another UniBIOS one, and they've put the screwdriver underneath, and it's gone straight through to the point where it is literally pulled up and broken through every single track underneath the BIOS. So I'm having to patch across each of those, and it's taken a while. Yeah, I lost patience with it a little bit. I will go back to it. It will work. I'm convinced of that. But yeah, that was bad. Now, in terms of ones that I've done, the worst one by far is the first GT PC Engine GT I got handheld. Quite a rare item, quite expensive. It's kind of worked, but the sounds on the display were starting to go in and out, which is usually the caps are starting to die. Now they are SMD caps, so they're surface-mounted caps inside. So I thought, well, I can try doing this, and I didn't have the proper tool, and so I decided to use a heat gun for removing wallpaper. That was a very stupid mistake to make. It melted a little bit of plastic inside, but that wasn't the bad thing. It wasn't even the first one. It probably would have been better if it had been the first one, because I would have learnt my lesson also. It was like the second one, I think. So the first one actually came off. So I was slightly emboldened for the second one. And I did it, and I got it off. And it wasn't completely off, but I pulled it up, and it took the trace all the way down. And I patched it, but it never worked properly. It wouldn't run off battery at all, and I could not work out what was wrong with it. I patched the cable, but no, it just wouldn't work. I sold it in that condition. Yeah, I obviously was truthful about exactly what had happened. I said that I did it. I said that this is why it's working. Some guy still bought it for like 120 quid or something. So maybe you can fix it. Right. So that is all of the questions. They're really good questions. Thank you all. That was quite fun. I'll definitely do another one. So now we get to this point. Now here's the problem with this, because this is so laggy, and I'm watching it on my phone, so I can see how laggy it is. So I think what I'll do is I will do the random thing, wait to see when it's actually showing up, and then say something. Right, so I'm going to click the button for the first winner now. Okay, so the first result is out. Can you see that? I don't think you can see that. There we go. You can see it. So I know when it's caught up now, because the screen should pop up. At least I hope it will. If not, I'll have to fix it. You get a nice view of my bald spot a few times as well, so that's good. There we go. There we are. Can you see that? There you go. There it is. So the first winner is Steven Sizemore. Right. So find the email address on the About page of the channel. Just send me your details. Obviously, I will check to make sure it really is you just before I do anything. And obviously tell me which of the free prize you want. So that's the Virtual Boy, the IQ, Nintendo, or the Bandai Wonder Swan Final Fantasy pack. So tell which one you want. Right. So winner number 2, who will get the choice of the remaining 2 items that aren't the ones that Stephen picks. Just wait for it to change. I have to work out this whole streaming thing. Again, I imagine it's probably better on Twitch. I'm slightly annoyed that... Oh, there we go. The second winner is James Yull. Again, follow the find the email address on the About page. Send me your details and basically 2 of the items that you want, and you'll get either your first choice if Stephen doesn't pick that, or you'll get your second choice. Right, so the final winner, who basically gets whatever's left. I was slightly annoyed that once I got to 1,000 subscribers, they unlocked the community stuff, but they didn't allow me to start streaming on my mobile phone again. And I do that occasionally when I'm doing a quick video. So I will have to wait until I get the 4,000 hours of watch time, which is it's annoying because that's the only reason why I wanted to get to 1,000. But oh well, so there's no money anymore. That didn't change. Well, you don't get to win twice, James. Sorry. Right. Hold on, did I messed up here? Okay, I think that's the third one. Okay. It's really weird watching me laggy like this. So it was Stephen, then James, right? That's what the... Man, I don't know. If I'm wrong, then I will fix it, don't worry. Right, so the third winner anyway is Leaded Solder. So again, just drop me a line and you'll basically get whatever's left over after the other two have chosen their prizes. Right, thanks for subscribing. Thanks for being part of this. There will be more competitions, so don't worry. There's plenty of stuff to win. I've got a couple of Gizmondos to fix. Once I fix them, then I'll be giving away at least one of those. And some TI-99s as well, which I will be fixing with my new power board, and then they will be going out. So yeah. Right, now I just got to kind of sit here like a muppet while I wait for the stream to catch up, and I can end it and know for a fact that it saved everything. So I guess I should probably do something to show that it's the end. I can't hold that pose. No, that's I can't hold that pose. This is so lagged. It must be a way of fixing it. Who knows? I'm not experienced in this. That's it. Right. See you later.